Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time we're tackling the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Is it worth all the hype? You know, you're thinking about upgrading, but you want to cut through the marketing, right? Get to the real deal.
Absolutely.
So we're going in deep with B-Bomb's review. They just dropped it on October 18th. By the end of this, you'll know, should you buy it now or wait and see? Let's get started.
Sounds good.
Okay, first up, Apple Intelligence.
All right.
That was the big buzzword this year, all that AI stuff Apple's been teasing. But here's the thing. It's not actually available at launch. Yeah, it's coming later in an iOS update.
Wow, interesting. So what do you think? Is Apple falling behind in the AI game? Or are they just taking their sweet time to really perfect it?
I mean, Google and Samsung are already pushing their AI features pretty hard.
Right, exactly.
And Apple is promising some cool stuff. You know, smarter writing tools, a cleanup tool for your messages.
Yeah.
And better notification summaries.
Yeah.
Even a focus mode that supposedly cuts down on interruptions. But B-Bomb got to try out the beta versions.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly mind-blowing stuff yet.
Not mind-blowing. So if someone's really excited about that AI stuff, this phone isn't going to give them that instant gratification.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's move on to a feature that is actually here. The new camera control button. Honestly, at first I was like, 8 ways to open the camera. Seems like overkill.
Yeah, I can see that the B-Bomb reviewer, they thought the same thing at first, but get this. The idea is to give you DSLR-like control right on your phone.
Oh, wow. Right.
Yeah, like you use pressure sensitivity to fine-tune your focus and exposure just by how hard you press the button.
So it's not just another way to open the camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about giving you more control, more precision.
I see. The reviewer did say it took some getting used to, though.
Yeah, a bit awkward at first,
Right.
but they really like the zoom control.
You know, it makes me think of the notch.
The notch.
Yeah, everyone hated it at first, but now it's the dynamic island. And people love it.
Yeah.
Could this camera control thing be the same?
Interesting parallel. I think it could. The reviewer even wished it did more than just camera stuff. Imagine using it to control music playback or scroll through text.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Apple might be testing the waters here.
For sure. All right, let's get to the heart of it all. The camera itself. The 48MP main camera is a big jump this year, especially for those macro shots.
Yeah, B-Bomb was really impressed with the level of detail you get in macro.
Yeah.
Now it's because of that 48MP Fusion ultra-wide lens. Think about it. 48 million tiny sensors capturing every little detail.
Wow, that's crazy.
They did mention a few focus issues, but hey, those can probably be fixed with a software update.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And it's not just macro, right? Daytime shots are supposed to be amazing too. Great shadow and highlight detail.
Yeah, and even night shots on this iPhone, they beat out Samsung and Pixel according to B-Bomb.
Really? That's impressive.
But there's still some lens flare, even though Apple said they'd fixed it.
So if you're a serious photographer, those details matter.
Absolutely.
Okay, now for the video creators out there, 4K video at 120 frames per second.
That's going to give you some seriously smooth slow motion footage.
Talk about creative options. You can slow things way down without losing resolution. Plus, super smooth time lapses.
It's a game changer for mobile video.
And then there's audio mix, this AI-powered noise reduction thing. It focuses on the audio coming from whatever's in the frame.
Yeah, the B-Bomb reviewer was blown away by it.
They were.
They had music playing on one side of the frame and a podcast on the other, while recording a conversation in the middle, and audio mix isolated the voices perfectly.
Wow, that's amazing.
It shows you the power of on-device AI, right? How it's changing the game for content creators. You could ditch the external mic for a lot of shoots.
I see what you mean. Okay, on to the design.
Yeah.
No major redesign this year, but the screen is now a massive 6.9 inches.
Huge.
And even slimmer bezels.
Yeah, lots of screen real estate.
But the reviewer did say it's a bit unwieldy to hold.
Yeah, and with all that screen space, more chances for accidental touches, especially if you have bigger hands.
Makes sense. And here's something that bugs me. The 120 hertz ProMotion display is great. But the base iPhone 16 is still stuck with a 60 hertz screen in 2024. Come on, Apple.
Yeah, I know, right? Even mid-range Android phones are offering 90 hertz or higher these days. What's the deal?
Is it to save money? Or are they just out of touch with what people expect?
It's a head-scratcher for sure. They did add a new color, though. Desert titanium.
Yeah, the reviewer thought it was kind of bland.
Subdued, maybe?
Yeah, but I've seen people online who really like it.
It's all a matter of taste, right?
True. Okay, performance time. The A18 Pro chip is here. As expected, it's super fast. But the real story is the thermal performance. Remember all those overheating issues with last year's Pro Max?
Yeah, they seem to have fixed that this time around. They've got a new thermal management system.
The reviewer was playing games, editing videos, even running AI apps. And the phone stayed cool.
That's a big win for power users.
For sure. It makes you wonder what kind of cooling tech they're using.
Right. A bigger vapor chamber. New materials.
Yeah, it's those little details that make a difference.
And that's what our listeners love to hear about, the behind-the-scenes stuff.
You know, it's interesting. The reviewer tried running that really demanding AI model on the phone.
Yeah, and it couldn't handle it.
Right. It makes you think even Apple's most powerful chip isn't quite ready for some of the more complex AI stuff that's coming out.
Maybe all this hype about the iPhone 16 being an AI iPhone is a bit premature.
Yeah, maybe. But then again, what if Apple has something even bigger planned for the future?
It's an interesting thought. If their current chip struggles with some AI tasks, what kind of hardware are they developing to achieve their AI goals?
I guess we'll have to wait and see. So the iPhone 16 Pro Max might not be the AI powerhouse we were hoping for right now, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Agreed. Let's move on to the software iOS 18. Nothing groundbreaking, but some nice quality of life improvements.
The reviewer liked the increased customization options for the lock screen and home screen.
Always a plus, right?
But they were not happy with the redesigned Photos app.
Oh, what's wrong with it?
It's apparently more confusing than the previous version, which is not what you want from an app that's supposed to make managing your photos easier.
You'd think they'd make it more intuitive, not less.
Right. It feels like they're trying to do too much with it. Hopefully they'll simplify things in a future update.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Let's wrap things up with the feature that really impressed the reviewer, the battery life. Almost 14 hours of use on a single charge.
That's incredible.
They were using it for everything, browsing, streaming, gaming, CarPlay, and it just kept going.
It really shows how much progress Apple has made in power efficiency.
But there's one catch. The charging speed is still limited to 25W.
Yeah, in 2024, taking over an hour to fully charge just feels slow. Especially when some phones can charge from 0 to full in under 30 minutes.
I know, right? It's a trade-off some people might not be willing to make.
Especially those who are used to super fast charging.
So where does that leave us? We've explored the design, the performance, the software, and that amazing battery life. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is a powerful device, but it's not without its quirks.
The missing AI features are a bit of a letdown. And the slow charging speeds might be a deal breaker for some.
Plus, that redesigned Photos app doesn't sound great. The question is it worth the upgrade?
We'll tackle that head on in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
So we covered, all the big stuff, right? Camera, performance, battery life. But what about the smaller things? Those little details?
Yeah, things you don't really think about until you're actually using the phone every day.
Exactly. Like the design, it's similar to last year's model, sure. But there are a few tweaks, like the bezels around the screen. They're even thinner.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Gives it that sleek, all-screen look.
But like the reviewer said, it can also lead to more accidental touches.
Especially for people with bigger hands.
Right. It's that trade-off between looks and practicality.
Speaking of practicality, that new color, Desert Titanium.
Yeah. What do you think? Hit or miss?
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. It's not flashy, that's for sure. But there's something kind of elegant about it, Understated.
Yeah, I get that. Like, it's not going to be a head turner, like a bright red iPhone, but it's got this sophistication, appeals to a certain kind of person.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like a well-worn leather jacket.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on from looks and talk performance. That A18 Pro chip B-bomb ran all the benchmark tests.
Yeah.
Blew everything else out of the water, as expected.
But raw power isn't everything. How about the thermal performance? Remember all those complaints about the 15 Pro Max getting hot?
Yeah.
Well, this one runs much cooler.
The reviewer was playing games, editing video, even trying some AI apps. And they said it stayed cool to the touch.
Now, that's a huge plus for anyone who really uses their phone, not just for browsing and stuff.
Absolutely. Makes you appreciate the engineering that goes into these things.
Totally. Like, what did they do? Bigger vapor chamber, new material.
I'd love to know.
It's those details that make a difference.
Speaking of the details, remember how the reviewer tried running that demanding AI model?
Yeah.
And it couldn't even handle it.
Right. It's interesting, isn't it? Even Apple, with all their power, they're not quite there yet with handling those super intense AI tasks.
It makes you think, what's the future of AI on phones going to look like? Are we going to need special AI chips, better cooling system?
It's a challenge for sure. And we'll be watching closely to see how it all unfolds.
So maybe the 16 Pro Max isn't the AI beast we thought it would be. At least not yet.
But it's a step in the right direction. And who knows, maybe Apple's got some tricks up their sleeve for future software updates.
Maybe they're just waiting for the right moment to unleash something truly groundbreaking.
Now, wouldn't that be something? But for now, let's talk about the software experience iOS 18. Some nice improvements, but nothing radical.
The reviewer liked the customization options for the lock screen and home screen.
It's always good to have more control over how your phone looks, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But they weren't so keen on the redesigned Photos app.
Oh no, what's wrong with it?
It's less intuitive than the old one. Which is kind of strange, right? You'd think they'd want to make it easier to manage your photos.
Especially with such a good camera.
Exactly. It's like they're trying to do too much.
Maybe they'll streamline it in a future update.
Hopefully. All right, let's end on a high note: battery life. The reviewer was really impressed.
Almost 14 hours of use on one charge.
It's crazy. They were using it for everything, and it just kept going.
It shows you how far Apple has come with power efficiency.
But there's that one thing.
The charging speed.
Still stuck at 25 W.
I know, it's so slow compared to what some other phones can do these days.
Over an hour to fully charge in 2024. It feels outdated.
It's a trade-off, for sure.
Okay, we're back, and it's time to answer the big question. Is this phone worth your hard-earned cash?
That is the question, isn't it? It all comes down to what you're really looking for in a phone.
Right. Let's be real. If you're someone who's got to have the latest and greatest tech, the newest features, the second they're out, this phone might not blow you away.
Especially with those AI features still missing. Apple Intelligence sounds awesome in theory, but we just don't know when it's actually coming or how well it'll work when it does.
Yeah, and don't forget about that charging speed. Over an hour to fully charge in 2024. It just feels so slow.
Especially when you see other phones charging 2 or 3 times faster.
Right. But on the other hand, if you're all about a smooth, reliable phone that you can count on for years, the iPhone 16 Pro Max still checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, for sure. The camera's amazing, the battery life is fantastic, and that A18 Pro chip is a beast.
And you know Apple's going to keep supporting it with software updates for a long time.
It's a solid choice, you know. It might not have all the flashy new features, but it's a phone that just works day after day.
I think it comes down to priorities, really. Do you want to be on the bleeding edge, even if it means some things aren't quite perfect yet?
Or do you want a more polished, predictable experience, even if it means missing out on some of the newest bells and whistles?
There's no right or wrong answer. It's all about finding the phone that fits your life.
Absolutely. And to help you decide, here's a final thought. What if Apple is purposely holding back on their AI stuff?
Oh, interesting.
Like, what if they're waiting to drop something truly revolutionary? That's going to blow everyone away.
That would be something else.
Imagine what they could be cooking up behind the scenes. Maybe this iPhone 16 Pro Max is just a stepping stone to something even bigger.
So, as you're weighing your options, keep that in mind. This might be a great phone today, but who knows what the future holds for Apple Intelligence? Maybe that mystery is part of the excitement.
That's a good point. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Hopefully, we've given you some food for thought.
We always say the best tech is the tech that's right for you. So do your research, consider your needs, and make the choice that's best for you. Thanks for joining us.